Let's get straight to it. If you're running your business without a real corporate shield, you're playing with fire. And the worst part about it is you don't even know it. I'm not talking about some cookie cutter LLC you set up on LegalZoom and forget about. I'm talking about a real bulletproof structure that protects your assets, your cash flow, and your future. This is the same strategy I've used to help real estate syndications, high-level entrepreneurs, and even my own companies keep what we earn, scale faster, and sleep at night, no matter what happens in the market. Here's the reality. Most business owners are one lawsuit, one audit, or one bad deal away from losing everything. Why? Because they never took the time to build a real corporate shield. They think, I have an LLC, I'm safe. Wrong. If your structure isn't set up the right way, you're exposed, your house, your car, your investments, gone in one heartbeat. But when you build a true corporate shield, you flip the script. You separate your personal and business assets. You create layers of protection that make you untouchable. You gain leverage with banks, investors, and partners because you look like a real business and not a side hustle. And here's the best part. This isn't just about defense. A proper corporate structure is the foundation for scaling, raising capital, and building generational wealth. It's how you go from a hustler to a CEO. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how the corporate shield works, why it's non-negotiable if you're serious about your business, and how you can implement it step by step starting today. Let's get into it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be an exciting one. We're going to be covering the proper corporate structure to have when doing business. You guys may have heard of this saying plenty of times before, but have you guys heard of the rich own nothing but actually control everything? How is that? How does the rich and the wealthy own nothing but they control everything? Well, what you're looking at right now is the proper structure and how that is actually possible, which I will be breaking down today, right? At the end of the day, when you're operating, when you're doing business, right, there will be liability, right? There will be liability. In order to get that liability off of you, right, off of you personally, and protect your assets, at the end of the day, you do not want to get sued, and then now you do not want to get sued for operating a business, and then your personal life, your personal assets like your home, your car, your family, right? They don't have a place to go because now you got sued, right? Because you didn't have the corporate structure. You didn't have the proper corporate structure, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I'm going to be showing you guys how you guys could actually structure that out properly, the proper corporate veil structure, right? At the end of the day, this will be for you, right? This is a very important to know for yourself, right? This is business entity optimization. Very important to know for yourself, but then also for your clients as well, right? This is a knowledge transfer that you could give to your clients to actually earn more LTV off of them, right? You could go in, you could structure their LLC, structure their holding company. You could connect them with a trust attorney, right? So that way they could build their irrevocable or revocable trust or whatever they may choose, right? Obviously, that's all the attorney will do their consulting on that, right? We also have attorneys as well that you guys can use to also build your guys' trust, right, or build your clients' trust. They're more than happy to consult with your clients, more than happy to consult with you, right? But let's break it down, guys. So the first thing is the trust, right? The first thing is the trust, getting the trust in place, your trust, my trust. To get my trust set up, it was around $3,000 to actually get that set up and going, right? You do have to consult with an attorney, right, or an actual estate planner to actually get this set up, right? And there's two different types of trust. You have your irrevocable trust and your revocable trust, right? Consult with your attorney to get this set up. What a trust does is it pretty much takes control, and it takes control over your holding company, and then your holding company owns your LLCs, right? You have control over your trust, and the trust pretty much takes your liability out of you owning direct ownership over your holding company or your LLCs, right? You'll pretty much be the trustee or the beneficiary of the trust, right? A beneficiary is somebody that benefits from the actual thing, right? So that's the definition of a beneficiary, right? So you will be listed as a beneficiary on the trust, right? And that would pretty much put you in control of everything, right? You wouldn't have any like liability in terms of ownership over these companies if anything were to actually happen personally, right? You wouldn't if something happened to these companies, or like whereas like they got sued, nothing would happen to you personally. Your personal assets will be safe, right? Just due to the fact that there is a wall between you and your holding companies and your LLCs, which is the trust, right? Giving you control and not ownership. Now your trust will own the holding company, right? Your holding company is a non-operating entity, guys. Your non-operating entity is going to be your holding company that pretty much it doesn't operate, right? Because you do not want to open it up to any risk, right, across the board whatsoever. You want to make sure that your holding company is actually formed within 2 states, right? I'm going to tell you guys why. Either Delaware or Wyoming, right? A lot of big corporations are actually forming, right? They have formations of their LLCs in Delaware, and the reason why that is because there is a privacy laws in Delaware. Whereas if somebody wanted to sue you, God forbid, somebody wanted to sue you, right? In another state, you could just go to the Secretary of State and actually look up on the Secretary of State who owns that LLC. Who owns this LLC? Well, John Doe. I go to Florida Secretary of State. I see John Doe owns this LLC. All right, let me go sue him. Right? I'm gonna build up a case against him. And then that alone is actually a lack of privacy, right? Whereas in Delaware, with Delaware's LLC formation, where you cannot go to the Secretary of State and see who openly owns that LLC, right? There is privacy put in place. There is security put in place. So somebody, if they really wanted to, they don't even know who the owner is of that actual entity, right? It's not public record, right? With that being said, that's why your holding company should either be formed in Delaware or Wyoming, right? Being the best states. Now, your holding company will then therefore own your LLCs, your individual LLCs. So you have, this LLC may own one property, right? Say for example, a multifamily. This LLC will own a single family property, and you have 2 businesses over here that these LLCs own as well, right? Now, this is how it works, guys. If something were to happen, say for example, you have a tenant that tries to sue you, right? Just for something, right? You maybe like an issue with, say for example, the garage door fell on them or something like that, right? And they try to sue you, right? This does not impact this property. They're 2 separate entities. There's 2 separate entities holding this asset, right? With that being said, it creates a actual shield, right, when it comes down to your other businesses. So with that being said, this is the reason why you want to go with the structure that is in front of you right here, right? This is the structure. This is the most shielded structure, right? You want to make sure that you're not held liable. You want to make sure that your assets protected and you're covered, right? This right here in front of you is the proper structure to have when doing business, to make sure that you can control everything but not own anything, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for watching. Please pass this on to as much individuals as you may like. Teach your clients this, right? Bring as much value to the table as you possibly can, because at the end of the day, this is the thing that can be the difference of you being in business today and not being in business tomorrow, right?